Alright, so welcome back. This is building a deck, part 2. Let's get into it. So if you haven't watched part 1, we go in depth on your local requirements and your planning, materials that you're going to use, and the design. So if you haven't already watched that, I suggest you jump back, get up to speed, and then come back to this one. So let's start with the basics. You're going to have posts which hold up the bearers, which hold up the joists, which holds up the decking, which holds you up. Now when doing this kind of work, you need to work backward.
The backwards man, the backwards man, the backwards man, the backwards man. I can walk backwards fast as you can. I can walk backwards fast as you can.
Yeah. So you need to know what type of decking you're going to use first, and then everything that goes beneath the decking is figured out around that. This is important because the thickness of your decking will help determine what height the joists need to be, so you have a seamless transition into the house. And if you're using something like a millboard decking, your joists actually need to be a little bit closer together than most of the other products. So you need to pick your decking first. So secondly, I would suggest you measure up your space and draw it out. Whether you have like a tablet, piece of paper, anything will really work. Dotted grid paper is really good because then you can draw it all to scale. After you know what decking you want to lay and you have measured and drawn out your space, you want to choose the direction that the decking will be laid. So if you're building a deck off the back of the house and it's 6 meters wide and it's 3 meters deep, you may want to run the decking boards parallel to the back of the house. But now is the time where you need to decide. Alright, now the fourth thing I suggest you do is you draw out your bearers and your joists. So if your decking is laid parallel to the back of the house, your bearers will also be laid parallel to the back of the house. And then your joists go 90 degrees to both of those. Now that you've got a rough sketch of where things are going to be, you need to calculate your spans. Your span is how far your timber can run unsupported. So obviously by using bigger timbers, you're going to be able to span further. Now don't fall into the trap of thinking you're saving money by putting these tiny little joists in. Sure, you'll save money on your joists. That means you're going to need more posts, more bearers, more concrete, more stirrups, more digging, because you're going to need to support the joist more. By upgrading to a bigger joist, that means you're going to have less bearers, less posts, less concrete, less stirrups, less digging, and I feel like the finished product is just a more solid structure. So for a pro tip, don't cheap out on the size of your joist. Now, calculating these spans is probably one of the hardest parts of this whole deck build. And I've been to a lot of houses and the deck feels like a trampoline, like it's bouncy. And that's because people haven't put enough bearers in, the joists that they're using are too small, and the whole thing is just built wrong. So yeah, don't do that, please. You can jump online and find the span tables for the type of timber that you're using. That way you can be sure that they can take the load. Now, span tables can be a little bit confusing, so if you want an easier way to solve one of the harder problems, I would suggest going to your local timber supplier. Generally, the smaller guys are better, and there's usually somebody there that can help you work out your spans. So you take them the drawing that you've just drawn up, say this is what I want to do, this is how far I want to go out, and they will actually just tell you your joists need to be this big, your bearers need to be this big, you need this many posts. A lot of the guys in those shops are super smart, and it's in their best interest to help you out, the customer. That is a really good way to go about it, and that way you can be certain you're using the right size timbers to build a safe structure. So now you've got your drawing all done, you've worked out your bearers and joists, what sizes you're going to need to build it nice and safe. Now if you drew this roughly up to scale, you should be able to use your drawing to place your order. All you got to do is count out your joists, count out your bearers, count out your posts. Easy. This is why we draw it out. Don't forget your hardware and your concrete. Now, when calculating how much decking you're going to need, there are a stack of online calculators that can help you with that. If I'm using around 140mm decking board, which is super common these days, so all you want to do is calculate the square meters of your deck, the width by the depth. Once you got that, that's how many square meters the deck will be. let's just say 18 square meters, and then you times that by 7. Now, if you're using 90mm boards, you want to times it by 11, or yeah, jump online and use one of the online calculators. It's super simple. Be sure to allow a little bit extra for wastage, especially with the hardwood. And if you're going to add a fascia across the front of your deck, don't forget to add that one either. All right, and yeah, it's time to build.